Good morning. This is Apostle Dwayne. Today, welcome to Just Truth with Apostle Dwayne. Today, I'm going to be talking about the what you don't know about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. The thing, though, is that I had a really long night last night with the Lord. He was giving me dream after dream after dream that I'm going to talk about as much as I can in this message, because I forgot that today was the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, and he started bringing me information in Revelation in my dreams last night that that are directly related to what's going on here. So I encourage you to make sure you watch to the end of this message, because I'm going to try and fit as much as I can into it. But what he showed me is troubling. Now, by the way, I'm noticing that the viewership on these is very low. For the information that I'm putting out here, I would expect that if it's ministering to you, that you tell some people, hey man, check this out, because I'm trying to give you information, or I am providing information in these Just Truth broadcasts, you know, to empower you and the people around you, so everyone can get up to speed and at least become interdependent. We don't want to be completely independent, because when you're, well, you want to be independent in your own self, but if you've got like-minded people that you agree with, and you can walk in lockstep with them, um, because you're going in the same direction. The scripture says two cannot walk together except they be agreed. And so when you receive the same instruction, it helps people to be able to communicate and have a conversation that they couldn't if you had to explain everything first. Okay, so that being said, so apostledwayne.com is up. It's, the site is still preliminary. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's in the works, that I'm in the process of changing, and it's going to continue to change. But please go check it out. I've got a free offer that I'm making in the short term for a book that I'm going to release, and I'm going to give you the ebook version of it if you sign up now to get it for free. And so if you go to apostledwayne.com, the book is God Wants You in Business for the Kingdom. Understand, the Bible is entrepreneurial. Everything in it is entrepreneurial. And a lot of the promises you can't access unless you're entrepreneurial. It's like when the scripture says, I would that you be the head and not the tail. Well, how are you doing that if you're the employee instead of the employer? Or you're the poor person instead of the person with the money? How can you be the head and not the tail? When literally you can be the tail. So, again, God Wants You in Business for the Kingdom is a book that I'm releasing, and I encourage you to get it now, because I'm making it available for free for a short period of time. So all you have to do is just put in your name and email, and you'll be on the list. And as soon as I release that book, you'll get it. I've got a lot of other good things coming too that are also on that website. I've got webinars and different trainings and things that are going to be impactful to help you move in your life. Now, the reason I'm doing this ministry is the Lord is making me do it. I mean, I've got so many things that I could be doing right now personally, and I've got my own personal struggles I'm going through, but He's making me stop to do this now instead of waiting until I got all my stuff together first. So, that being said, understand you're not in the struggle alone. We're all fighting to try and make it forward and to move into what we want and what we need in life. But only there's only a certain amount of things you're going to be able to get done. And so it makes sense to get the big things done. And if you can get the little things done too, then that's extra. But make sure you get the big things done. And you need to know how to move, how to do that. And especially us as Black people. Most of my listeners are Black. Most of the people that God showed me He's assigned to me is to help Black America, because we're in trouble. We're in trouble. You can look at any statistic, And if it's bad, we're at the top. If it's good, we're at the bottom, and it's that's trouble. But for us, it's just normal. And so, please take these messages seriously. Let people know. Go to my website, get the information I'm making available to you there. It's going to help you in your life. Okay. So now let's get into the message for today. We're talking about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. Now, what most of us don't know anything about the Constitution. We hear people talk about it, but we never look it up. And there's a problem with that because your life in this country is governed by the Constitution. That's why you elect representatives to represent you is on the basis of what's in the Constitution. All the laws, everything is based on the Constitution, and the state laws are subordinate to the Constitution. But in the state, you have state constitution. Every state that you're in has a constitution, and I believe the cities and the counties have constitutions. And so you need to know what the law is. We need to know what the law is so that you can understand how to pull the levers and the strings and whatnot, because the people who are in charge, they know. And it's made freely available to you because now it's legal for you to read. At one point in time, in many of the states, it was illegal for us to learn how to read. Okay. And so it's very important that you know what's in there. We've got, I look online like here recently, since, Lord has moved me to go ahead and get this thing started. I've been engaging on Facebook. I never really did before. And by the way, hi to anyone watching on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. But I never really engaged. And then I've also been, engaging in the Twitter as well. And the funny thing is, and then even on YouTube, and the funny thing is we've got a lot of time. We've got a lot of time to be on TikTok making videos showing people dancing and all these new dance moves and stuff. And we've got so much time for entertainment and to be entertained when there's life happening around us that we don't know anything about. You're asleep. A lot of y'all are completely asleep. And then we see things like this man who was shot 60 plus times running away from the cops, this black man, where another white mass murderer just shot a bunch of people and he fled the cops and he was taken in alive. This keeps happening. Now, let's go back to the subject of today's message. You have the Constitution. In the U.S. Constitution, there's something called the 5/6 clause. The 5/6 clause has never been removed. It said that we as black people were 5/6 of a person, and that it was put in there. The only reason that we were even counted in there in the first place was because the white Southern slaveholders, because they had a numerical majority if they counted all the people they had enslaved. They didn't want you to be counted as a person, but they wanted you to be counted as a person for their rights politically. They knew we were people, but they didn't want us to be counted as people because then that would affect the laws and things that they had. So what they came up with was a compromise. The North didn't want all those people, all the slaves counted because that was a non-voting public. And also women couldn't vote in the original Constitution either. But that was a non-voting public, but they wanted them counted. And so the North didn't want to let them be counted. And so what they came up with a compromise, the 5/6 clause, and this is supposedly how that came up, where they deemed that we were 5/6 of a person, okay, by race. Now so that's never been removed from the Constitution. If we want to see the Democrats and the Republicans, if they really want to be for black people, let's see them remove that from the Constitution. Okay, and so here slavery was written into the Constitution. The legal enslavement, kidnapping, murder, rape, and control and everything was written into the U.S. Constitution unapologetically. And when you listen to people talk about the founding fathers, they never, or it's depending on who you're talking to, they never mention that. It's a gross hypocrisy. They want the freedom. They want to be, and they're chanting freedom, 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 from being taxed, and freedom of representation, and all these different things, or taxation without representation, but at the same time, they were enslaving people, taxing them for their labor without representation, without any rights given to them. It's a gross hypocrisy. And it wasn't just the United States that did this. It was all throughout Central, South America, Europe. This was a European and by the way, Middle Eastern. The Mideast. I mean, they're the ones who brought a lot of this stuff to the Europeans, and even they're the ones who pointed them to us. So when you hear people talking about Islam and all that mess, they're the ones who said that, hey, look, this is where you can go get the people of the book. And the people of the book was our ancestors. So the more information you learn, the more these things connect together. But let me get back to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. So after the Civil War, you had a period of reconstruction. And basically, whenever you destroy a country in war, then there's a lot of money that can be made from rebuilding the country. And so the Reconstruction period, the Northern government, because the South, essentially, they had no government anymore. The North took over, and basically started creating laws to help us. Now, I don't know that to me, it seems that they were trying to do is the laws did help us, okay, and they came up with some things that they some promises and whatnot that our ancestors were given that many never received, most never received. 40 acres and a mule, things like this. This is what a lot of the people are talking about when they're asking for reparations. At least just give us the equivalent of the 40 acres and a mule. That's a tractor and 40 acres of land. How much is that worth? That was promised and it was never given. Okay. And so that is owed. Plus, you got all these fortunes, Marlboro, Winston, all these tobacco companies. You'd be surprised how many different families are wealthy now from money that was gained through slavery. You got generational wealth that's been passed down through slavery and most of those families still have that money. And so and the government, everybody knows who everyone is. It's not like this is hidden, but there's just an agreement that's been made to never pay us, to never acknowledge that stuff and whatnot. And so you have a lot of people fighting for reparations, and I don't blame them. But in the meantime, your efforts can be put in other places instead of waiting for promises and whatnot. You can still go get and take territory, because there are some Black people who became wealthy during the time of slavery and after, and immediate after, like the man who founded San Francisco. There's a lot of people who and I'll be talking about that more in business and success with Apostle Dwayne, because there's a lot of people in history that you don't know about, that if you did know about them, it might change what you do and think and how you move today. And it's very important that you be involved to do this. And so in any case, let's get to the 13th Amendment. So the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution abolishes slavery in all cases except the convicted felon. Okay? It abolishes slavery in all cases except the convicted felon. So if you're a convicted felon, in essence, you're a slave. And you'd be surprised how many different industries are based out of the prisons. When you go into government buildings, a lot of the furniture and all that stuff is made there. I remember I was I was having dinner with a man who was an Army colonel, and we were talking about the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments. He didn't know anything about it. And, most of us don't. And I was telling him about it, abolishing slavery in all cases except the convicted felon. And then, we were talking about the prison industry. He was telling me that they get in the Army, they have to request when they order supplies like furniture and things like that they get it from the prison system. And they have to, and if they're going to buy it from an outside supplier, they had to first submit a request to the prison system to get their approval. So the prison basically has a right to an automatic right to turn down whether or not government agencies can buy from an outside vendor. Okay, and so that's just a little sidebar, but the 13th Amendment, um, you know, as a result of that, if you become a um, a felon, you're essentially reduced to slavery. And you know that this is true because you see some of the lasting effects of becoming a felon. A lot of felons, if they're trying to apply for regular jobs, aren't going to get that job. And then a lot of times, someone when they go into the prison system, they end up coming out worse than when they went in. And that's a whole other study to talk about is the whole prison system thing. But understand, if you become a convicted felon, you're reduced to slavery. Okay. The 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment establishes dual citizenship and equal protection under the law. Now, why is this important? So, because you're a citizen of the state that you live in and a citizen of the government, of the overall US government. So you have a state citizenship and you have a federal citizenship. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the laws at the state level and the federal level are completely different. What the federal laws cover, for the most part, I'm just giving you a general summary here, is high crimes, treason, things like that, violations of civil rights, international trade laws, things like that. That's what the federal government, that's what the overarching federal government, that's what their laws and everything concern. Whereas on the state laws concern, how you live and move in a state. They're the ones who prosecute crimes and such as someone doing something to someone else and things like that. Murder, rape, adultery. All these things are state laws. Tax evasion, that's federal. Okay, and so now at the state level, if someone violates your rights, that's where you're supposed to get the jury or your peers and all that other stuff. But if you don't get justice there, you're pretty much out unless the person that you can show where they violated a federal law, such as your what do they call them? I just said it a few seconds ago. Your civil rights. And so that's why a lot of times if someone escapes prosecution, like let's say they're let off by a white person who does something is let off by an all-white jury, which happens quite a bit. That person, if we're doing something against someone black, that person is essentially scot-free because of the law in the government where you had the double jeopardy law where you can't be tried twice for the same thing. Unless you can show that person violated some different type of law. That's why the people, when O.J. Simpson was set free by the jury, they was able to sue him in civil court. So you can bring a civil case against someone. If you can't prosecute them criminally, you can also sometimes go after someone civilly. And then you've got federal crimes and things, hate crimes and things like that. And so what you have to understand is you're a citizen of the state that you live in and the federal government. That's why when you move from state to state, you have to change your residency. Now, here's where this becomes important. Your citizenship, it says, so your citizenship allows you the right to be a voter. Okay. And so that's where the 15th Amendment comes in. So the 13th Amendment abolishes slavery. The 14th Amendment makes you a citizen and in the state and federal governments. And then the 15th Amendment establishes the right to vote for all persons except the convicted felon. Think about that. So if you become a convicted felon, you're reduced to slavery and you lose the right to vote. Now, the right to vote is very important And it's funny because I personally, the Lord has taken me through some things over the last few years, and at times, He'll tell me not to vote. Okay, and so that's a personal thing. He'll tell me don't join in this because nobody here is for you, and whatnot. And so, um, and so that's me personally. At times I can't, but at other times I can. And so the bottom line, but the right to vote is very important. And if there were always a candidate that was for the Lord, I could always vote. But again, that's a different discussion. Now, but here's the thing. So if you're a convicted felon, though, once you become a convicted felon and you lose the right to vote, you are essentially stripped of your citizenship. You're still a citizen, but no one cares. No one has to care. And so the reason that this is important is because you can see the swath of the Black population in America that has felony records. That alone is a positive force towards other demographics. We've got to get out of the court system. And by the way, there's a lot of money made in this whole court system thing, in the jails, and it's a big business, um, on all sides. So let me get to these dreams because I only have a few minutes left on this broadcast, and I had this dream this morning. The first dream, my wife came to me and said, "They sold your mother," and then I was like, "Sold my mother," and then I went to try and find her and get her back. Then I woke up. And I woke up, thought about this, and like, man, is it possible someone would be trying to reinstate slavery? Okay, and then I went back to sleep, and I remembered, or actually, as I was laying there, I remembered the first dream that I posted. When you go to my YouTube channel, there's a video that I posted there back in 2016. The first dream, it showed this racial stuff happening, and I said it looked to me like martial law and racial war, and these things are playing out right now. You're seeing a stark rise in this, and then this morning I had the thought for the first time: is someone, could it possibly they're trying to reinstitute slavery? Well, it's but then I had another thought. Just recently, I saw a video testimony of a man who's a truck driver, and he was delivering a load to a place in Texas that's called a sundown town. These are towns where Black people aren't supposed to be seen, or you can get killed after the sun went down. They're back. Sundown towns are back. What is going on in these towns? Who lives there? Are there any Black people there? Have they been reduced to slavery? I don't know, but this is something I've been thinking about since this morning. Okay. And here I was doing the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments, and it was amazing to me that it took a while for it to set in that, wait a minute, that's what I'm talking about this morning. And for the Lord to be giving me these dreams right now. Okay. Now, there's something else I haven't reported, but the day after Joe Biden was inaugurated, the word of the Lord came to me, and I heard Jim Crow in the modern day. And then the same day, I heard people calling him Jim Crow Joe. And I was like, oh man, this is not looking good. But then just this morning, the Lord reminded me that he gave me that word. Okay. And okay. And then so then I got up, I started reading the book of Revelations, got really tired, went back to sleep. The next dream I saw was a Black woman speaking to me saying, these disrespectful and unsubmissive women are far from apologetic. And right after I saw that, I saw, after that, I heard they're not just using the booty, they're throwing the coochie. And then I saw like a twerkathon, like a bunch of women like doing like a twerkathon. I'm like, now I woke up again. And then I went back to sleep and I had another dream. A black woman was working in like a kitchen or a factory. Actually, no, I was helping a black couple in their business, and the man, I could tell, I was like, it was like I was as a consultant helping him out, and he seemed like he had some resentment to me. It's like he was trying to find things to say, oh, well, you don't got this right, and or waiting to see something from you. It's like it's like certain people you can't really help. Okay. And he's talking to me because there's certain people who wouldn't listen to anything I got to say, and I can't help them. And they're the people that I'm sent to. Some of the people I'm sent to are just a complete waste of time. And so he's letting me know that. And as I was moving from that in that dream, the scene kind of changed, and I was hosing down like in like a factory kitchen or something like that. And there was this woman who was sitting at this table in front of me, and like the somehow we were talking, and I said, so where are you from? And she goes, I'm from New Jersey. I said, oh really? I'm from New Jersey. I said, where at in New Jersey? And she paused for a while, and I was like, so what, you don't remember where you're from? And um she says to me, she said, well, I was from a wrong part. I was from the wrong part. I was from a Catholic part in New Jersey. It's like she didn't want to say where she was from or what was going on there. But then again, Biden, he's Catholic. I think he's from Jersey. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is not, I'm just telling you what the Lord gave me this morning because he laid on my heart. He gave me these dreams and I'm supposed to report it. And so then I went back to sleep, and the Lord reminded me of another dream he gave me back in 2016. It was one where I saw Nazism in the army. And recently I heard about this woman out in Fort Hood in Texas at a base. She was having some trouble, this black woman. And I was watching a video on this on YouTube. This woman, she's like making tapes and recording on her phone, showing herself being harassed and whatnot, and in the army. Okay. And it's like, there's things happening. There's a lot of stuff happening. And um, and then I went to then I had another dream. I was it was like this skating crew, and the leader of the skating crew was like this white guy. And he says, yeah, man, I want you to join my crew. You'll help me to get votes. And it's like, I just kept having one thing after the next happening. And then I heard one more thing from the Lord. It's not enough to push a man into a cage. Get him to pursue the cage. Okay. And so these are all the things that I heard from the Lord this morning. And I know that it's apropos to the subject that I'm talking about. And, we have to be shrewd. If the black population right now, we are so distracted, so impoverished, so disjointed. So, I mean, really, people, we got to wake up and start to at least get your own self together, get your own house together, so that way you can overflow and potentially help other people. And just understand that there's some things that are probably coming down the line. And if you're not with the Lord, and if you're not listening to him, you're not going to know what to do, and you're not going to know where to move and how to go. And the bottom line is, I mean, this stuff is serious. Please, let's talk about these things. Let's share this information. Let's get off of just spending all day, dancing and taking pictures and a lot of stuff that don't make, going to the parties and stuff. I mean, what do we have the party for right now? I mean, and I'm not saying that there's nothing good in life to be happy about, but right now, we just, we're far too impoverished to have too much time to hang out. That's just me. We need to be at work. Now's the time to be at work while you can. Okay, so in any case, so that's my broadcast for today. Next, coming up is Bible study. We're going to look at some more verses from tithing from last week, as well as the second half of Genesis 1. And, please go to apostledwayne.com and get your free book. And I'll see you next time.